Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. Send double honors to the apostles, the elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Send much peace, love, and salutations to Yahweh. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala. On this lesson it's going to be called you spicy Latinas will be judged right along with the so-called black woman. You so-called spicy Latinas will be judged right along with the so-called black woman. You know, because a lot of times we get on you so-called black women. Yeah, you know, this Western mindset, attitude, and everything like that. But we don't really get on the Northern Kingdom like we get on the Southern Kingdom because, you know, Judah is the head tribe. Well, you know, a lot of brothers deal with so-called Latino women. And they just as bad as the so-called black woman, man. Cankerous, combative, loud, will set you up. You know, will put you in a bad position just for ego reasons, just because this world will support it. So not only, you know, we always say 2/3 of our people are going to go, and most of these Western women are not going to make it. Well, you so-called spicy Latinas, y'all think that attitude and shit is cute because that's what the Western media pushes out there. Well, it ain't cute, you know. It ain't cute at all. So you're going to get judged right along with the nappy-headed, bald-headed, stank, so-called black women that's running around here. Here in Ecclesiastes 7:26, it says, "And I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleases the Most High escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her." So we warn brothers of dealing with the so-called black woman, but we also warn brothers of dealing with ratchet-ass Latina Northern Kingdom women too. That's why a lot of bros are just escaping from dealing with Israelite women. You know, they'll just get a woman from another nation because they find them to be more feminine, all right, more in order than you so-called black Latinas and Native American women, all right. So the scripture says, "I found more bitter than death the woman." It's talking about women in general, not just the so-called black women. A lot of you women in general, and because, you know, like I said, we get on the so-called black woman, but when we say Eve, we really talking about all the nations. Okay. Ezekiel 9:4 says, "And the Lord saith unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof." All right. So the Most High is going to, you know, put a mark on those that are in righteousness. All right. He said, "And the others," he said, "in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have pity." So if you don't have the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, you're not marked and covered, you're going to be smited by the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And it's not just going to be men. That's why it says here in verse 6, "Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary." Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. Okay? So the point of me reading this scripture is maids, little children, old and young, and women are going to be smited in that time of judgment. And that includes you so-called spicy Latinas that, you know, you run around, you're always cackling. Some of the most argumentative women that you can have the displeasure to deal with, man. You know? Certain brothers have their affinities. I know because that's how I deal with Latino women. You know? And that's the type of attitude you got to deal with sometimes, man. And to get a Latin woman to just be quiet and get in order, if you tell your woman, your Latin woman to be quiet, man, bro, you would think that you would have her shackled in the basement and whipping her, man. That's how hard it is for Latin women to just be quiet and be in order. You know, the Most High is not going for that. He's not going for that. So I know we get on the so-called black woman, but we gotta get on the Latin women too, because they be doing the same shit. All right. Proverbs 9:13, it says, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. And let's get this word clamorous. Right? A foolish woman is clamorous. Just always want to talk back. Always want to think that you got the point to make. Always think that you need to be heard. My feelings. But what I feel is this. And that stuff spiritually drains a man. All right. That's why the scripture says a foolish woman is clamorous, to murmur, growl, roar, cry aloud, mourn. That's a nagging woman. A clamorous woman is a nagging woman. Sound, make noise, a tumult, be clamorous, be disquieted, be loud, be moved, be troubled, be in an uproar. See, in a Hispanic Latin culture, the men are more subservient to the women. And they allow for a ratchet ass, loud mouth, talking back, all over the place behavior, man. Well, the Most High is not dealing with that. The women that were uplifted in the scriptures were meek and humble. And they moved the men around them through grace. All right? Through moving in a way that's pleasant. Not trying to order a man about. Because that's what they do in Latin culture. The women boss men around. You know, make jokes of them. Constantly talking. And then one of the other things that's big in Latin culture is the women are absolute sluts. The women sleep around, cheat on their husbands. You know? They're constantly flirting with men. All right? Flaunting themselves. So these ratchet, so-called feisty, spicy Latina women are gonna get judged right along with the so-called nigga woman, man. It ain't just the so-called black woman. It's you Native Americans, you Latinas too. You know? Proverbs 21:9 said it is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. You know? You come in the house, or something is said in the house that might not fit the fancy of the woman, and they won't stop either, man. You leave the house, you can go and leave for 3 days. You come back and she'll still stay on the same topic, arguing. No, it's not what you said. That's not what you said, or whatever it is, man. They say it's better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than to be in a wide open house with your ass. Most High's not dealing with that, man. Most High's not pleased with that type of behavior. Okay? And so those type of women are gonna be caught up. You constantly nagging your man. You always gotta try to have the last word. He tell you something, then you gotta try to find a reason why he's wrong about every single thing that he says, or find a fault and harp on it. Most High ain't dealing with that. He ain't dealing with that, man. This is Sirach 25 in the GNT, verse 16. It says, I would rather live in the same house with a lion or a dragon than a bad wife. When a wife is in a bad mood, her expression changes until she looks like an angry bear. And brothers know, man. You come in the house, you might have been on the highways and byways, you trying to do a lesson, or you just getting off work or whatever. When you come in the house and she got that look on her face like, oh, shit. It makes you not even want to come home. Right? It says her husband has to go and eat with the neighbors where he can't hold back his bitter sigh. You know? Compared with the troubles caused by a woman, any other trouble looks small. May such women suffer the fate of sinners. So you women that's nagging their husband, especially the men of the Lord, You'll suffer the fate of sinners. A lot of like the brother Elder Yashwumba said in one of his latest sit downs. A lot of you first wives of the men of the Lord are not gonna make it. You haven't grown. You haven't gotten out the Western mindset as he's grown and developed into the way of the Scripture. And instead of focusing on being a sincere helpmeet and supporting that man, you've become a nagging, argumentative, uncontrollable, a witch of a woman. Okay? And the Spirit has it to where a lot of these lessons on women has been coming out more in mindset on dealing with women. All right? Verse 20 here, it says, a quiet man living with a nagging wife is like an old man climbing up a sandy hill. See that? And that's how it is when you're trying to be at your house, or you want to be in peace, and a woman's just nagging you on some type of feeling or sentiment that has nothing to do with salvation or very, very important in the household. You know, I just need to, I'm not talking right now. I just need to, what about, no, be quiet. That nagging spirit, the Most High ain't dealing with that, man. He ain't dealing with that. Okay? Sirach chapter 36, verse 22. It says, the beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance, and a man loveth nothing better. Right? It says, if there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men. He that getteth a wife getteth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. That's what a woman is supposed to be, a possession of comfort, meekness, and kindness. Something that's uplifting the spirit of the man, not dragging him down, not bringing in more strife, not pushing back on everything and causing contention. Not saying that you're always going to have to agree and do every single thing your man tells you if there's a disagreement, but there's a way to disagree. There's a way to bring up issues. Okay? And that argumentative, loud, back and forth, want to have the last word spirit, the Most High ain't dealing with that. That's the culture that's within the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And it's something that we highlight with the so-called black women, but the Latinas, the Northern Kingdom does it a lot too. And then they start shit and they act like they didn't do nothing. Throw rocks and then they hide their hands. What? I didn't even mean that. They didn't say that. And now it's a whole different spirit is stirred up in the house. Well, the Most High is gonna make judgment on that. All right. 1 Peter chapter 3:1 says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husband. And this word subjection is like saying the word colt. What do you mean subject? I ain't no subject. Obey. That's basically sunlight to a vampire for these women to hear the word order and subjection and obedience. Well, these are the things that we have to do for Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. And likewise, you women going to have to come underneath that umbrella, underneath your husband, underneath your man, however that may be in these times. The man that you dealing with, just okay. Likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. See? All right. So you are in subjection to your husband, and how you deal with him, even if you disagree, it needs to be in a way that can win a man over. Right? It says, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Your chaste conversation, not no loud, cantankerous conversation. Right? Let's get this word chaste. Hagnos. Right? Exciting reverence, venerable, sacred, right? Reverence, deep respect for someone. When you dealing with your man, or you coming at him as if you have deep respect. You notice these women, when they talk to their bosses, they have deep respect. Why? Because there can be consequences for rude, loudmouth behavior. You can get your ass fired. When women are dealing with their husbands, they don't come with deep respect, chaste conversation, right? It's not. It's exciting reverence, but it should. That's what you're commanded in the scripture. It says, pure from carnality, chaste, modest, pure from every fault, immaculate, clean. All right? That's the type of conversation you're supposed to come with when dealing with your husband. All right? Not in a combative, I need to make my point, over talking your man. He trying to say something, you trying to poke holes. Well, I don't like the way you said it. No, but what did I say? What did I say? You know, you get off the phone, you know, or something, and they just keep texting or calling you. Women like that are not gonna have any favor with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, man. It says here in 1 Peter 3:2, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. So respectful, pure conversation coupled with fear. All right. It says, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting of the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. These are the characteristics that the women should be putting on. Okay? They should be putting on that spirit of ornament of meekness and quietness in their spirit. And when you're dealing with your man, you coming in with a spirit of chaste conversation coupled with fear. All right? But most of our women, they're not doing that. They're coming proud. So I wanted to put that out there too. Is not only are we just talking about the so-called black women, we're talking about the Northern Kingdom too. That loudmouth, rude, all over the place, Western woman, calculating behavior is going to be put down. And we all going to have to be put in order, man. All of us. So with that, man, I'm going to say, call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutation to Yaki. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, since in the truth. Shalom.